Hello and welcome viewers and subscribers of AVG News. My name is Motsoaledi, the son of Ngombe, and I hope I find you well. It's a Wednesday. I hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday wherever you are. I'm here to update members of the Zimbabwean community who are living and working in South Africa, especially those who are working and living under the Zimbabwe exemptions permit. You will know already that there is an ongoing saga regarding the Zimbabwe exemptions permit. There is a court case that was won by the Helen Suzman Foundation um, pertaining to the Zimbabwe exemption permit holders. You will remember that the Minister of Home Affairs announced a decision that is going to cancel the Zimbabwe exemption permit just last year, and then the Helen Suzman Foundation took this matter to court, and they won a court case in which the minister's decision was ruled by the Gauteng High Court in Pretoria to be unconstitutional, illegal, and invalid. The minister went back to the same court and he sought leave to appeal the High Court judgment, which had extended the validity of the Zimbabwe exemption permit to June 2024. And you would remember that yesterday we came here and we announced that the minister had lost the court case in which he sought leave to appeal the High Court judgment. So now, after that, we told you that we will wait for the minister to respond to that court loss. He has responded now, and this is what we're bringing to you now. But before we go ahead, I would like to request that you subscribe to this channel, like this video, and share it. So what happened is that as we had already warned, that the minister is likely to appeal, because he has said previously that he is not going to take this matter lying down. He's going to he's going to exhaust all available channels, legal channels, that is, to make sure that his decision stands. That is the decision to cancel the Zimbabwe exemption permit. So he has, after seeing the court judgment which dismissed his appeal to seek leave to appeal the judgment, so he has now given a statement. I'm going to read the statement for you to understand. It was written on the 17th of October 2023. So it's from the Minister of Home Affairs. It's a press statement on the full judgment on the application to for leave to appeal. It says the Minister of Home Affairs has considered the full court judgment, that is the Gauteng Division, Pretoria, on the application for leave to appeal in the Helen Suzman Foundation versus Minister of Home Affairs and another ZEP matter, dismissing the appeal for leave to appeal lodged by him. The minister has also taken legal advice on the judgment. The minister has decided to exhaust the legal remedies available to him. To this end, he has already instructed his legal representatives to lodge an application for leave to appeal to the Supreme Court of Appeal without any delay. The minister believes that the matter is of such great public importance to deserve the attention of the higher court. The minister is encouraged by the increased number of waiver and visa applications lodged by the affected Zimbabwean nationals. The minister is considering and approving an average of 2,000 waiver applications every week. The minister would like to assure the public that the Department of Home Affairs will continue to enforce the immigration laws without fear or favor. Hence, the very successful two-day immigration workshop held on 16 and 17 October 2023 at Beachwood Hotel in Gauteng, attended by representatives of the National House of Traditional Leaders and Khoi and Sen leaders and all provincial houses of traditional leaders, Congress of Traditional Leaders of South Africa, that is Contralesa, National Khoi and Sen Council, Royal Leaders of South Africa, ROLESA, South African Local Government Association, SALCA, mayors or speakers of metros and districts, ministers of human settlements, cooperative governance and traditional affairs, small business development, deputy ministers of home affairs and cooperative governance, and traditional leaders in the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition. A full statement on the workshop will be released in due course. So the rest is just something else. So the minister here is saying that after reviewing the judgment, the latest High Court judgment, which dismissed his application to seek leave to appeal the earlier judgment, he is now going to the Supreme Court of Appeal to seek this relief that he sought at the High Court. So you'll remember that the earlier, that is the June judgment that the minister was appealing, had ruled, as I have said, his decision to cancel the Zimbabwe exemptions permit unconstitutional, illegal, and invalid. So it also extended the validity of the Zimbabweans exemptions permit to June 2024, pending consultations by the Minister of Home Affairs with the consent of Zimbabweans and other stakeholders in this matter, because the court said there had been no consultation with these people. The minister has reached a unilateral decision. So the minister sought to appeal that, and he lost at the court. Now he's going to the Supreme Court of Appeal. But that now doesn't, at this present moment, before there is no appeals which has been done, and the Supreme Court of Appeal hasn't passed any judgment, it therefore says that the latest court victory scored by the Helen Suzman Foundation stands unless and until the Supreme Court of Appeal rules otherwise. So this is where we are right now. We will continue to update you as we always do, but this is the latest regarding the Zimbabwe exemption permit and the court cases that have been going on. So unless and until we get something new, we leave it here. But please do not forget to subscribe to this channel, like this video, and share it so that it informs other people who are in the same position, especially those who are interested in knowing on the latest regarding the Zimbabwe exemption permit and the ongoing court saga, because it's going to be a long and protracted battle, as we have always told you, because the Minister of Home Affairs is adamant that is not going to leave any stone unturned. He's going to exhaust all the legal channels. So if he loses at the Supreme Court of Appeal, expect him ultimately to go to the Constitutional Court to also argue his case, because his main argument is that the Gauteng High Court does not, in its rulings, consider the separation of powers, which is between the judiciary and the executive, of which the Department of Home Affairs or the minister are part of. So they are saying that the minister should exercise his prerogative as the Minister of Home Affairs to make certain decisions, but the court is saying, even though that is the requirement, there should be at least consultations with especially the people who are involved. We're talking here about people who have been living in South Africa legally for 13 years. We're talking here about people who have established families, some of them with South Africans. We're talking here about people who have born children in South Africa, whose children are going to school here in South Africa. You are talking about somebody, if somebody was born, let's say in 2013, 3 years after their parent got the Zimbabwe, the DZP that was called then, and now they are 10 years old. They have been going to school in South Africa, and then you say they have to be uprooted and taken back to Zimbabwe. You are talking about people who have been investing here in South Africa because they have had two presidencies in which they have had these permits extended, and they were not given enough time to think beyond the special permit. They thought that, as has always been the case, their permits are going to be extended, but all of a sudden they are told that their permits are no longer going to be extended. They've been cancelled. They have been discontinued without having enough time to prepare for their next step. And they are saying that that is the Helen Suzman Foundation and other organizations that are supporting their court case, including the Zimbabweans who are in the Zimbabwe exemption permit. They're saying that they were not given enough time and they were not in the first place consulted so that they make their own presentation, because the argument by the Minister of Home Affairs is that the situation which led to Zimbabweans being granted these exemption permits, which were a political decision, have changed in Zimbabwe. But the argument that the Zimbabweans are presenting, that the Helen Suzman Foundation is presenting, that we as journalists are presenting, is that nothing has changed in Zimbabwe. The economy of Zimbabwe is still going further down. ZANU-PF is still in charge. The ANC, in which the minister belongs, has given its support behind ZANU-PF. They are saying that they do have their own problems with ZANU-PF, but ZANU-PF remains a progressive force in their eyes. ZANU-PF remains their progressive ally in Zimbabwe. They don't support the opposition in Zimbabwe, regardless of which opposition it is. So here we're having a standoff in which Zimbabweans are saying we are suffering because of ZANU-PF. We want ZANU-PF out of power in Zimbabwe, because with ZANU-PF in charge, the economy will continue to worsen in Zimbabwe. As shown, the number of Zimbabweans in South Africa has increased from 700,000 previously to more than 1 million Zimbabweans in South Africa, because the situation has worsened in Zimbabwe. If the situation was better in Zimbabwe, we wouldn't need Zimbabweans being told that the situation is better in your country, go back. They would just pack and leave, because they are the ones who live in Zimbabwe. They are the ones who know their situation. They go here every holiday to their country to try and see if it's now better. And the fact that they continue living that country in droves, and new Zimbabweans continue to come to South Africa to the extent of them increasing 300,000 people from the last census to the current one, shows that the situation is in their eyes not improved. And so that is the argument that they are presenting. That is the argument that the Helen Suzman Foundation is presenting. That is the argument that every stakeholder in this affair is presenting. But the ANC now, which has taken a side already in the Zimbabwean politics, which has created this situation in Zimbabwe, is saying it doesn't have any space for Zimbabweans anymore in South Africa. Yet at the same time, it still has space for ZANU-PF in its politics. So the argument is going on. The Helen Suzman Foundation is saying nothing has changed in Zimbabwe. The ANC is saying things have changed. I mean, the Minister of Home Affairs, who is an ANC member, is saying the situation has changed. But the ANC is saying that it still supports the people who are largely blamed for the situation in Zimbabwe going south. So somebody is saying what time they need. They need time, because you cannot, even you sitting where you are, you cannot be told tomorrow that you have to pack and leave. We have seen South Africans being moved from certain flights, even after having been given time. They still resist that removal. So this applies even to Zimbabweans. They are human. Let us treat them as human. They deserve that. They didn't cause the situation that they're in. They did their best. They voted. The SADC Election Observer Mission gave a report which said that the Zimbabwean election didn't meet certain aspects of the SADC protocol, of the Zimbabwean Constitution, of the Zimbabwean Electoral Act, but we still find the ANC, through its Secretary General, going out there to declare that a win for ZANU-PF is a defeat of imperialist puppets. So if that win results in Zimbabweans flocking into South Africa, you can then not turn back and say, we don't want them here, when you want the push factor to remain. So if the push factor remains, it means that Zimbabweans will continue to flock into South Africa, because we have to be honest with each other. The push factor is the mismanagement of the Zimbabwean economy by ZANU-PF. The push factor is the political intolerance, especially of opposing voices in Zimbabwe by ZANU-PF. The push factor is the looting of Zimbabwean resources in Zimbabwe by ZANU-PF. And the ANC doesn't find any reason to rebuke this. They stand on top of the mountain. through their Secretary General and say ZANU-PF is a progressive movement. They say ZANU-PF is our progressive ally. They say everyone else who's opposing ZANU-PF is an imperialist puppet. And it's not only Fikile Mbalula. Gwede Mantashe, as ANC chairperson, went to Zimbabwe. Zimbabweans were protesting on the streets. That was in 2019, in January, over the rising cost of living in the hands of ZANU-PF. What does the ANC come back and say? They send a statement through their chairperson, Gwede Mantashe, to say that Zimbabweans were protesting because they were bought by imperialists. It is a regime change agenda which seeks to take out ZANU-PF and is sponsored by the West. So what they are saying is that they are taking sides with ZANU-PF. If you take sides with ZANU-PF, you therefore have to accept the ripple effect, whether it's negative or positive, because for as long as ZANU-PF remains in charge in Zimbabwe, for as long as ZANU-PF doesn't change the way it treats Zimbabweans, for as long as ZANU-PF doesn't change the way it manages and mismanages the Zimbabwean economy, Zimbabweans will always look for alternative ways of survival, whether those ways are orthodox or unorthodox. And we plead with South Africans, ordinary South Africans in this matter, to understand why Zimbabweans continue coming to South Africa, why Zimbabweans are fighting to remain in South Africa. It is because your own leaders who understand the problem that Zimbabweans are going through are siding with the problem. They're not siding with the Zimbabweans. So it is time for ordinary Africans to side with each other against these rulers, these elitist politicians who don't care about the ordinary person, who don't care about the ordinary citizenry. They would rather have ordinary citizens kill each other because they are safe, they live behind high walls, they are protected 24/7, they have state security all over around them every day, every time of the day. So it is going to continue this issue of the Zimbabwe exemption permit, but let us also be human in looking at this issue. So thank you very much. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like this video, and share it. And also send us your comments, send us your views, send us your suggestions, and we'll take them into note as we go forward. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your day.